Hi, everyone, and good evening. I hope everyone is doing amazing. I am so excited to be here today with a great show about a super interesting topic. Um, my name is Yael Brudner. I'm an immigration attorney, and I am coming to you live from Orange County, California, so Southern California. And I'm live today on Facebook, on YouTube, and on LinkedIn. If you are new to our channel, welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for being here today. Please like, subscribe so that we can notify you about more of these great immigration talks. And today I have a really interesting topic that I want to talk about, and it is very common topic that comes up a lot in our consultations. And this topic is how to immigrate to the United States based on your relationship, right? Based on your marriage. Okay. And marriage-based green cards are one of the most common ways to obtain residency here in the United States. And there's different ways that you can go about doing this, and I'm going to talk about the most common ways today. Okay. Now, everything I say today is general information. It's not personalized advice. If you do want to have a personalized consultation, I'm always happy to talk to you one-on-one and discuss your specific situation. But if you're here today and you want to ask some questions, some general questions, feel free to write them in the comments and I'll try to get to them as we go. Okay. So are you ready to learn more about marriage-based immigration? Okay. Well, this topic is so common that I actually wrote a guide about this, the guide for couples to immigration, or immigration guide for couples. And I am happy to send this guide to anyone that's watching and is interested. Basically, it lays out the different options that are available for couples to immigrate to the United States. And I'm happy to send it to you. It's a really easy read, and it just kind of lays out the different options, because if you start Googling and you start looking for information out there, it can get very confusing very fast, and there's a lot of bad information, and you really want to go to a source where you can trust. So this guide really talks about the different options and in a concise and very easy way to understand. Okay, so shoot me a message or write here in the comments that you're interested in our couples guide, and I'll also link it here in the comments after this show. Okay, so let's dive in and talk about immigration to the United States based on marriage or based on the relationship. And I think it's fun or easy to kind of understand this scenario if we share a story. If I share a story with you on typically how this comes up. And I'm going to make up some names. So the names are not real, but this is based on real consultations that we have in our office daily. Okay, so super common. Okay, so we have Michael and Christy. Okay, Michael and Christy, they're a couple. Michael is a U.S. citizen who was born here in the U.S., and Christy is she was born in France. She's a foreign national. She has a French passport, and they met online. So they met online. Actually, they met on a video game. Okay, so they have playing online gaming, and they started chatting, started talking, and they started to kind of talk privately, and they've done that for about a year, and then finally they decided to meet. So Michael flew out to Europe, and they met, and they really hit it off, and they become a couple, and they started to date and kind of maintain a long distance relationship. Now, Christy, she has a tourist visa, so she's able to come to the US and she's able to come visit, and Michael is able to go and visit her, and they've kind of been doing that back and forth for a while. And on one of the visits of Christy's visits here, they came to me for a consultation because they wanted to know what options are there for Christy to be able to live in the US, because they decided that they want to live together, they want to get married, they got officially engaged during this visit, and they just want to be able to live here in the US. And they want to know what's the best way for them to do this. Okay, so they were here and I presented them 3 options, which I'm going to talk about today. Okay, and thank you for everyone that's joining. If you have questions, I will get to them very shortly. I see that we do have some questions coming in, so I'm definitely going to get to them in a little bit. Okay, so let's go back to Michael and Christy. They're here in our office and they're looking for an option for Christy to be able to immigrate to the United States, to live here in the United States. She wants to be able to work. She wants a social security number, and she has a lot of family back in France, and she wants to be able to travel back and forth. So she doesn't want the hassle of having to go through questioning at the airport every time. She just wants it to be a lot easier for her to live here in the US. So we talked about 3 options for that. The first option that we discussed is the fiancé visa. And the pros, the best thing about the fiancé visa is that they already qualify for it at that moment. They can file for it today, right? So a fiancé visa is basically an option that allows for a US citizen, so in our story, Michael, to petition for Christy to be able to come to the United States on a fiancé visa for the purpose of getting married in the US. Okay, and the deal with this visa, the condition is that they have to get married within 90 days of her entry to the US, and then after they get married, then she can apply for her green card here in the United States through a process called adjustment of status. Okay, so fiancé visa will lead to the green card, but it's a multi-step process. She would have to, there starts with a petition here by Michael in the US, and then Christy needs to, once it's approved, Christy needs to apply for her visa. And then when she gets her visa, she has 90 days. They need to get married, and then she can apply for her green card. Okay, that's one option. That's a fiancé visa option. Okay, like I said, pros is that they can start right away. Cons, negative, is that a lot of steps. A lot of immigration steps. That means a very long process, and it means it's more expensive. Everything, there's like filing fees for every step. It's really frustrating. Okay, but for some people, it really works. For some people, for example, couples that maybe just met and they're not really ready to get married yet, they want to have a longer engagement, fiancé visa is a great option. Okay, because the fiancé visa process takes a long time. Okay. Or, for example, couples that can't travel to see each other and to get married. For example, during COVID, we did a lot of fiancé visas because people couldn't travel to get married. So they say, let's just do the fiancé visa. We already qualify. Okay. So that was option 1. They heard about it. They're like, we're not sure. Okay. Option number 2 is a spousal visa or the marriage visa. Okay. Technically, it's an immigrant visa. This process is similar to the fiancé visa in a way that it starts with a petition by Michael, the US citizen, but this time Michael is petitioning for his spouse, not for his fiancé. So you have to get married first to do this, okay? And then once this petition is approved, then Christy has an interview for a visa. Similar to the fiancé visa, right? She also has to have an interview with the fiancé visa, but the difference is this time her interview is for an immigrant visa, a spousal visa based on the marriage. This is not a 90-day visa. This is an immigrant visa that will allow her to enter the United States as an immigrant for lawful permanent residency, okay? When she gets to the US, that's it. There's no more process. There's no applying for the green card. Nothing. She can start working here from the very first day that she enters. In fact, she's going to get her green card in the mail within a few weeks, the actual proof of her residency. Okay. So, thinking about this, this option, the marriage visa or the immigrant visa, requires to get married, right? You have to be already married to do it. And for some people, maybe that, they're not ready for that, right? But if you are, it is a good option. Okay. This process takes place completely outside of the US for the most part. outside of the US, right? The first part, the petition is in the US, and the second part is outside of the US. Okay. Perfect. So that's the marriage-based, the immigrant visa. And now finally, the final option is we call adjustment of status. Okay. An adjustment of status, you've maybe heard me say this if you're following me, is just a fancy way of saying applying for the green card in the US. Okay. Now, there's very specific qualifications for the adjustment of status. So you have to be already in the United States, and you have to be here in some status, in a certain status. And if you are marrying a U.S. citizen, let's say you're here and you marry a U.S. citizen, then you can apply to adjust your status. Okay, you have to also have entered lawfully. There's certain requirements, but in this scenario that I just shared with you in Michael and Christy's case, she actually qualified for adjustment of status. She entered lawfully. She entered with intent to come for a visit, but then she's changed her mind. She thought, wait a minute, maybe I'll just stay. Maybe I'll just apply for the green card. Maybe we can just get married. We don't want to be apart anymore. And that's ultimately what they decided to do. They decided that they don't want to be apart anymore, that, it's so hard for them to be apart and to do this long distance relationship, that they decided to do adjustment of status and apply for the green card here in the United States. And for her, it was something that was available for her because she met the requirements. Okay. So folks, those are the three options to apply for, sorry, I'm gonna get some water. I get really excited when I talk about this topic. So those are the options that are available if you're thinking of immigrating to the United States, coming to the United States based on your relationship to a US citizen partner, either a fiance, right, your fiance, or your spouse. Okay. Let me jump in to check this question. Okay. Thank you, Chuck, for the question. Let me read it and see if I can help. If my girlfriend is from the Philippines and we get married online, can we then file for the spousal visa for her to come to America? She's also been offered a job with my employer, but she can't get a tourist visa, and I can't fly in order to meet for a K-1 because of medical issues. Okay. So this is a complicated scenario, Chuck, and thank you for asking this question. Again, generally, I can say that online marriages could be acceptable. However, there's certain conditions to that. You do have to be able to meet in person after this online marriage for the marriage to be considered sufficient for a spousal visa. So my recommendation is to reach out to us and schedule a consultation so we can talk about your specific scenario, because I do feel like there is a specific things that we can dig into more and ask more questions to give you a good recommendation. Okay. So please feel free to call our office or send us a message and we will get back to you. Okay. Perfect. If you are here and you want to ask a question, feel free to write the questions here in the comment. If you're watching the replay of this, also feel free to ask questions, and as we see them, we'll definitely reply to them as well. And if you're interested in getting a copy of the complete guide for couples for immigration to the United States, please send us a message as well. We'll send you a copy of this guide. It really lays out everything you need to know about those three options that I just talked about, which is the fiance visa, the spousal visa, and the adjustment of status option. Okay. Okay, let me see this question here on YouTube. Mokran is asking, I got an RFE for medical exam 1 month after I submitted the I-130 and the 45 marriage-based green card. Do you think it's a good sign that USCIS may waive the interview? Well, This is great news. It is a good sign. And we've been seeing a lot of these medical we call them medical RFEs. Basically, it's a good sign because if immigration wanted to or intended to call you for an interview, then you could have submitted your medical at that interview and they wouldn't have bothered to issue an RFE for the medical. Okay, so while it's not guaranteed that you won't have an interview, it's a really good sign. So fingers crossed that once you send that RFE response with your medical, then you would receive an approval in the mail. And we've been seeing a lot of interview waivers recently, the last 6 months. I think it's one of the best times historically to file for immigration, for green cards based on marriage, because we are seeing a lot of these waivers of interviews. Okay. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for joining today. It was so great talking to you and explaining a little bit about the marriage-based green card options. If you have any questions, if you want to talk to us one-on-one, feel free to reach out. Our number is here on the screen, or you can send us a direct message. And if you are new, you're here and you're visiting our channel, welcome. Please like, subscribe so you can get more amazing immigration content. Okay, so thank you everyone. Have a wonderful week and I'll see you really soon.